Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy, again, and I've got my Stag Sunday. And I'm not only going to show a stag knife, I'm going to do a little bit of history for those who are just new around, probably more interested in it. But I just found it. I wanted to find out a little bit more. I bought this knife uh, from a really lovely fella on Facebook, and this is a four-bladed Congress knife. And it's Congress because of this lovely sort of crescent shape here at the bottom of the knife. Although here's a little bit of history that I found out. Congresses don't just come with this pattern. They also have balloon-shaped or swell-centered uh, knives that are called Congress knives as well. Like the same blade patterns, but they just have that balloon center and a rounded bolster. But you nearly always find Congress is square bolsters and this crescent shape. But it was just, I believe Case done one as well. Um, how many blades on a Congress? Well, a Congress can go from 2 blades up till 8 blades on a Congress knife. And the 8 bladed ones tended to be the more older ones that were incredibly fancy. They would have had um, a really posh handle like pearl or tortoiseshell, something like that. They would have also had bolsters that were deeply engraved, beautifully engraved. And there's a Joseph Rogers one that I'm just looking at a picture of at the side of me here. It came in, it's just a black and white photo, so, but it came in solid gold bolsters that were engraved. So there was real fancy knives out there. And let's be honest, these were made in the early part of the 18th century, somewhere between, they started coming out somewhere in the 1800s to 1830s when they started making their name. And they were used specifically by tobaccateurs. That's why you've got two lovely sheep's foots. The main blade on a Congress is always a sheep's foot, and that was for cutting off chunks off their tobacco to chew. Um, Now, I've never cut tobacco, but I take it when they were getting it, it was in a resin form, and maybe that's why there's two sheep's foot because it would blunt the blades. Not sure. Maybe somebody else, if they know that better than me, do it. But if you're an American, one of your late presidents, um, Abraham Lincoln, when he died, he was carrying a six-bladed ivory-handled Congress, which is now in the Liberty of Congress. It is displayed in the Liberty of Congress. Again, I take it that's in the main Parliament buildings, but anyhow, it's a real history of it. To be honest with you, um, the English knife makers made an awful lot for the American market, but they were mainly sold down south. Now, I don't know whether the down south of America, again, if you can help me, down south in America was more the people that would have chewed tobacco than up the northern part. But the English were making quite a few and sending them over there. And then also they were joined by Remington and New York Knife Company. They made Congress patterns in large numbers. But again, they were distributing them to wholesalers in the southeast of the country. So there must be something to do. There must be a reason. It must be the tobacco part of the country. Again, I should probably know that, but I wasn't that skilled for history most of my life. But yes, I really am getting to like this pattern. I just think it's lovely, and I love a bit of history. Um, I, these were they were nearly purely just for the American market. They didn't sell over here in any great numbers at all. I'm sure there was some stayed here or were bought back here even, but they weren't a knife for sale here. Probably because there wasn't a lot of tobacco chewing here that I know of. Um, But yes, a beautiful knife and can go from the very fancy to this is not a, well, I think it's a fancy one. It's got stag handles. It's just four beautiful blades on it. You have the inscription on here. This is a tree brand, Boker. Uh, Lovely knife. And then there's a number at the bottom, 3464, is that? Yeah, 3460 or 5464. Not sure what that is, whether that's the pattern number or not, not sure at all. But you get two sheep's blades, which are so handy for any. I think this is the perfect whittling knife. You have two sheep's, which removes the bigger stock, and then you have a coping blade and a pen blade. And here's a great one, because people are always not sure what to call blades. I get an awful lot of people mistake this for a sheep's foot. A sheep's foot has that rounded end. A coping blade is just a direct, straight blade down. That's a coping blade, in my eyes, anyway. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But that's what I have always called a coping blade, when it has a complete direct, just cut off nearly. It nearly looks awkward. It looks like maybe the blade's been snapped off because it's such a sharp cut. And this is a sheep's foot. But I think you'll agree, this knife is beautiful. The stag on it, there's the Boker shield there. It's a two spring, which I love. You're getting a four-bladed knife with two spring, so it's not too fat, because with this one, with the stag handles, it would have made it just too cumbersome to carry in the pocket. So I love this, absolutely love it. And there's the back of it again, very similar to the front as well. So there's the front, there's the back, a little bit of a larger bit of the bone on there. I've really fallen in love with this knife, and I really do want to carry it and use it for a bit of whittling. To me, it would never be a hard use. It would be more, a pocket knife. This is the thing about multi-bladed knives. I was never really into them until I started to get more and more into traditional patterns, and realizing now, like, a Stockman is just a super knife. You have three blades. And like most, again, traditional knives, they're not usually high-end steel. So when you've got just a basic carbon steel, you've got three, and this is four blades to use. You're never going to run out of a cutting edge during an average man's day's work. I mean, we don't do a lot of hard use cutting, just don't. So yeah, I'm finding them more and more useful. I'm finding I'm carrying them more and more. And to be honest, when I first started collecting, I got different patterns just to see. But the only other senator knife I had, and I had for years, just so that I could say I had a senator, is this Rough Rider, which is absolutely beautiful. Got abalone and pearl here, either side in the centre. Lovely blades with long pulls on them. Not nail nick long pulls like Rough Rider usually do. And then look at the back spring on that. Isn't that beautiful? And I mean, these knives are, this knife sold you £20-ish here. I paid less than £20, but it was a few years ago when I got this. And it lay in my drawer, and I never really used it. But now having this, I think I might use this for whittling. So we'll just see. Although this one has a pen blade and a sheep's foot, but you always have that master sheep's foot on a Congress. So I believe. So there's your Sunday stag. I just think this is, it's the snap on this knife is, and this, I got this is new old stock. It was, and it's in mint condition. I just love it, and I shouldn't slam the blames down by that, but it's the way I do with my blades. So I mean, I will use it. This isn't something I want to stick in a drawer away. It's too nice. It is so nice, and especially the two blades that are not over thick, as you can see. So as a whittling knife, your blades are going to be skinny and great for doing detailed whittling work. Just look at that, how they're fitted in there. I mean, the only rubs on it is where you rub it against something else when you're taking it out. And there wasn't even that when I got it. But again, I'm not the most careful person in the world, and it doesn't really matter on a multi-bladed knife to me at all. But the fit and finish on Boker, it's just fantastic on this. And there's not a hint of a gap. And that stag is mated up beautifully to the bolsters. And just the way they place the knives, sometimes you can get them and they're exaggeratedly bent. This isn't. Look how narrow that is. Perfect. Perfect. Anybody else use them as a whittling knife that would maybe confirm that I'm not going mad, that this is an ideal whittling knife? For me, I think it is anyway. There you go. Under 10 minutes. I am a genius. So this is my stag what am I trying to say? This is my stag for Sunday. Take care. Bye bye. Paddy's gone. Cheers now.